I want to talk about these scary movies. So
Yeah.
unlike Halloween,
Right.
horror movies are around all
the
year
time.
round.
Yeah.
Right? Every month or every couple months, they're putting out a new horror movie. What is your thoughts on horror movies?
So I really love the horror genre, personally. I enjoy a good horror movie. And I think the same as Halloween, you got to handle it with care, recognizing that like you can't, sometimes we want to like baptize a whole thing and say, this is good. And just like dunk it in the water and it comes out and it's like, well, every, war movie is good. And you baptize it, right? And like, I don't want to do that with horror either, right? It's not like they're all good, but I don't think they're all bad either. So it's like, you have to have the boundaries, right? And have the certain understandings of like, well, at a point, this might be unhealthy, right? Especially different people relating to horror in different ways, right?
Yeah.
Like I would never push horror movies on somebody else and be like, hey, I know you tell me that you hate these, but sit next to me and I'm going to force you to watch it. My wife, Hannah, is not a big fan of horror movies. She does not like them at all. And
so you
I don't know if we've ever watched a horror movie. Yeah.
Is that a rule?
Right. So when I put them in, she's just not around. That's how it is. Yeah. So like if I'm watching a horror movie, she's just not around.
Okay.
We've watched a few. We live in a house with 3 other roommates, and we've watched a few horror movies, classics, over the past few weeks, and we we put them on after Hannah falls asleep. That's been the trend so far. Is she'll fall asleep and then we put a movie on, because I don't want to force her to watch something that she's not going to enjoy to begin with, right? And then on top of that, how it affects her might be different than how it affects me long run, right? Like I was talking to a friend just recently about how when she would watch horror movies growing up, she would watch them, but then she'd have like horrible nightmares afterwards. And it's like the response to it afterwards would be like so full of like anxiety and terror and nightmares, and it's like she doesn't even have control over it. And so it's like, this isn't good for you to watch, right? I've never had that experience. And so I don't want to say it's good for everybody, but also in the same way that Halloween has the potential to be something, right, that allows for community, that allows for us to encounter death in a way that we can like think through things with like safety around it. I think horror can do the same thing. It has the potential to teach us certain things, and it can be helpful in that way. It can also be really unhelpful.
Yeah, but
it could be helpful. So
what's some horror movies that you're like,
right?
I'm not gonna watch that one.
Some horror movies that I would not watch. So I'm not like a movie buff or anything like that, and I don't watch a ton of movies.
Right here.
Right, I know, that's what I'm thinking. I was like, I wish Ray could be on this podcast because he's got all the movie knowledge in the world. But there's a number like within maybe like the body horror genre that I've avoided intentionally. Names, I do not remember any of the names. But like the body horror genre starts with like Saw, right? And so it's all about like
movies.
Yeah. And so I've not seen the later Saws. I've seen the original Saw, and it's not. First of all, it's not crazy gory to be. Well, I mean, it's all relative, right? But in terms of how things have progressed and where things are at now, it's not crazy gory. And I also think Saw is trying to make a point. Like it has a message it's communicating, right? Good art is trying to communicate something. And I'm not convinced that all of the body horror that comes out is trying to communicate something. I think sometimes it's just like trying to feed people like this horrible image that you just like can't, like staring at a train wreck, right? Like I just can't take my eyes away. I think sometimes that's what they are, but even Saw like has a point. Yeah, it's communicating something.
Yeah, Saw's really good. I'm okay with the gory movies.
Yeah.
Because I got a weird sense of humor. They're gonna like kill me for this, but they're so predictable, the movies.
100%, yeah.
And so I sit there and I'm like, this person's gonna die.
100%.
Why would you go in there? I was like,
right.
Stabbed right in the neck, like
right.
So
no, I know. Yeah,
this like exactly it's funny because this is like, and then there's a cultural difference. So it's just like, as black people, we be like, come on, man, like
right.
First of all, I'm not tiptoeing through my house. What was that noise? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, not at all.
There's somebody in here. Like, hey, who in here? One of my kids? What's going on? Like, I'm not gonna be tiptoeing through my house.
Right.
We walk really fast. Oh, it sounded like something fell. Oh, it didn't. All right, I'm going back to sleep. But there's all this tiptoeing, and I'd be like, this person's finna die.
Yeah, you
scared to be in your old 100%. House.
It's just ridiculous sometimes.
And then Chucky.
Yeah.
So the only horror movie that ever scared me was Candyman when I was growing up.
Okay, yeah.
And Candyman was filmed here in Chicago.
Right, yeah.
In the Cabrini Green Projects.
Yeah.
And I had family that lived in there.
Right.
So
it was like, real. Yeah, it became real.
I was like,
you're like, whoa.
4 when that movie came out. So I'm like, I ain't going back over Cuz house because he lived in that building where that dude was.
Right.
And Candyman was just it was scary. And then Chucky was funny because I'm like, fam, this little dog.
What is happening? Yeah.
This little dog, like
it also looks ridiculous.
If y'all don't throw this dog in the garbage on the roof somewhere, and then Michael Myers and like Jason, I'm like, they walking. Like they're not even running. Like they're just walking.
No. Yeah.
And then you know, I can get Freddy, he's in the dreams. Yeah. But like a lot of these movies, I be just like it's funny.
Goofy. Yeah.
I'm like, they should put comedy in front of this instead. Comedy horror.
Especially the older ones, you know, like I mean, I've never watched a horror movie from the 80s. Well, I'm in the 80s, right? Like I'm watching horror movies from the 80s in like 2010. And it just is sometimes it's a little goofy. We watched the original Friday the 13th with Jason a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And it's just goofy. It's so weird. Yeah.